Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 77 of ZK Live. Tonight we have a very special guest, Brian Sedgley from Festool. I've been a huge fan of Festool for, I got my first Festool about 7 years ago. So I'm going to bring Brian on and we're going to talk Festool. We're going to learn a lot. He is the expert.
Whoa.
Hello, sir.
Zach, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
No way. This is cool, dude. I'm going to put you up here in my rack here. Holy moly.
Welcome to Live.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us at Festool. This is cool.
I'm a huge fan of Festool, so this is an honor for me as well.
Cool, man. Yeah, ask me
I
if
got
I do this. Hell yeah.
I just clear something up. Do you really bleed green?
Some people think I do. I probably do. Ask my wife. She says I bleed green, man. So I do this all the time. I've been doing it for about 14 years. So yeah, it was kind of cool because I'm in my shop at home, and maybe you can see behind me. Let's see if I can work this boom a little bit. But you can see, look at that. I even grabbed that from one of the trade shows for professional painters, Festool.
See, that's what I like to hear. Sometimes the painters, we don't feel as much love as we want to feel.
Oh man, I remember we've always at Festool worldwide, globally, have really built a lot of our tools for professional painters. It just took us a while here in North America to really get into the market, and I was part of that. I went over to Germany for a training in the paint trades to see how they did it. It was kind of a funny thing because of all the apprenticeship programs over there, and I went through about a week of the vocational school they had over there for the paint trades, and then I was on a job site for about 3 days with different paint contractors to see how they do it. It was pretty cool. And then we did about a year and a half of market analysis. Christian Ultra, our CEO, and Philip Glaser and Jordan Hare, and they did a lot of work, and we decided, you know what? It's time to enter the market for painters. And we really, it was really a cool experience being part of that. And that was about, I think, 7 years ago when we started that, and it's been nothing but great. For me, the best part is all the cool people I met. You know, I get to hang out with these two knuckleheads up in Burlington, Vermont, Scott and Todd. You might know them.
Oh, I know them.
Oh my God, I've had so much fun. They're like brothers from another mother. You know, we had so much fun. And then I find out that Scott went to the same college I did. And it was really weird. It was really weird. It was cool. It was so I got a little bit of experience in the paint trades, and I didn't realize how much I really knew because I used to spray finish all the time in my cabinet shop in Fort Lauderdale. So that's where Festool hired me out of about 14 years ago. I built kitchens and baths and anything that paid the overhead down there in cabinetry. So that was kind of cool, and I ended up here and just been surviving during the pandemic, I guess. You know, I usually have been on the road quite a bit, and this year the past a little over a year now, I haven't done a trade show, and I've been home. I think my wife constantly is telling me you need to get back on the road. She goes, "You've been here too long." But it's kind of cool. I forgot how much I miss woodworking, and I got a lot of time because I've been home and weekends, and I've been cleaning up my shop here and getting some of my machinery back in shape. And I've been teaching a colleague at work from Festool. He comes over here on the weekends, and I teach him how to, do certain things. And it's warming up, so we're going to start spraying again, and pretty excited. And he's a good student, so. He was buying all this Festool. Hey, Big D, that's you. I know you're watching. And And he's our social media guru at Festool, and he comes over here on Sundays, and I show him how to do stuff. And it's been a heck of a good time. He's buying all this Festool. I said, "What are you making?" He goes, "I don't know." So we just decided, hey, why don't you come over on the weekends and we can hang out. That's the cool thing. At Festool, I work with so many wicked cool people. Oh God, it sounds funny. I tell people all the time, you know how good the tools are, but boy, the company is a billion times better. I work with family, and here's the tough part. During the pandemic, we never skipped a beat. We remained open. We were claimed here in Indiana an essential business because we supplied the trades, to keep the economy going. And it was good, but man, we had a crisis team come together at Festool, and we designed it where we have zones at work. At some point, I didn't see some of my brothers and sisters for months on end. So what I decided to do is I worked in the warehouse every once in a while when they needed the extra help. And it was kind of fun because on the weekends out there with me was the CEO and sometimes a director or sometimes one of the other guys in marketing. And it was cool. In other words, I got to see my family, so it was cool. So how you guys everybody getting through the pandemic? Pretty good?
We've been very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, I know all my friends who are contractors here in Indiana have been unbelievably busy, but it's trying to find but the building materials are getting scarce, aren't they?
Luckily, all of our paint most of the paint that we use comes from Holland. So that train that froze that had all the resin on it didn't affect us, and we don't use lumber, so
yeah. You use fine paints of Europe, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's an art, if you ask me. Holy! I had a buddy down in South Carolina who he's not a painter, and he was using it. He goes, "Oh my God, this stuff is wicked hard to work. You got to know what the heck you're doing, right?"
It's not a paint that's designed with the user in mind. It's designed with durability and aesthetic property. And they just assume like Europe just has high quality trades and they're all trained. And here, a lot of the domestic paint is literally engineered to be easy to use or have a wide margin of error.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are used to working within a narrow margin of error.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's cool. I've never used it, and maybe sometime I will. I don't know. But boy, some of the front doors I see that are done without a garage doors. Oh my God. It's like I could shave my head in there.
That's kind of our trademark is the entry doors, ceilings, walls, high glosses. It's their flagship product, but they have a whole line of paints that we use, wall paints and water-based paints and
yeah, I sprayed all my stains. I am a one-trick pony when it came to finishing in my shop. Me and my business partner, Mikey, we used ML Campbell.
Yep.
And I shot a ton of their stains, but I always shot either Magna Lac or Magna Max. And it was so unforgiving. So forgiving, I should say.
Margin for error. It dries fast. You can have a dusty top.
You got a good contact buzz.
No, we have like medically clean facilities. Dust is like, it's the enemy when the paint stays open for so long.
Oh yeah. Oh.
But at the end of the day, when you get a high quality marine grade oil enamel, it looks, feels, wears like nothing else.
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of buddies who sprayed in the marine business because Fort Lauderdale, they sprayed a lot of all grip.
Yep.
I think that's Exo Noble brand.
We use that primer. We use their 545 primer a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a guy who he did Billy Joel's Chris Craft, and he did such a good job. He sprays all of Billy Joel's pianos now.
No way.
Yeah, Anthony. I forget something finishing by Anthony. What a cool dude. What a cool dude. I met so many great people down in Fort Lauderdale, too, over the years. I was down there 25 years, 23 years. Yeah. That's where my accent's from.
Yeah. I grew up in Kansas, and I moved to Rhode Island when I was 16. And so I heard your accent, and I apologize for yesterday when I assumed you were from Boston.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that. It's all right. I don't care. You know? And my wife's from Jersey, and today I was at the dentist, and she goes, "Where are you from?" Dental hygienist. And I said I'm from New York. No, I didn't say New York. I said I'm from Fort Lauderdale. She goes, I go, "That's where the accent's from." And she goes, "No, it's not." A lot of people think it's New York. I just grew up in Maine. I've never lost my accent. I don't care. You know, it is what it is. It's funny because my wife's from New Jersey, and when I first met her, she always used to say, "Use guys." You know, that's a classic Jersey Shore. But she hasn't lost the accent, but she hasn't lost the attitude. I love that for sure. Because Jersey girls have the attitude and don't ever mess with them. Cool. Where in Kansas you grow up, Zach?
Pika.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. It's a very different speed. The Midwest is definitely a slower.
Woo!
It's a whole nother ballgame.
Woo! Yeah, man. Yeah, I got a running joke with one of my buddies at work. I say one thing and then I translate it into Hoosier. You know, and it's kind of funny. It's just, you know, Northeast, we're kind of on edge quite a bit. But
everything just the cadence is just like, I'll talk to somebody on the phone for the Midwest, and I'm like, dude, calm, like, get to the point. What are we saying?
Yeah, I know. It's so true. So, what do you guys want to know about Festool?
So I want to hear the origin story of how they found you. Let's start there. I have so many questions. I'm the biggest Festool fan. If you saw my shop right now and how much Festool we have, it's sick. So, but I want to start with 14 years ago, what happened? Festool was like, we've never come to America. We're going to come to America. We're going to go find this crazy bald maniac down in Florida, and he's going to take us to America. What was it? How did it happen?
Okay. I don't like talking too much about myself, but I'll tell you this. This is how it happened. I wandered into a marine store about, it must be 18 years ago. It was called Marine Industry Tool Supply. It was owned by a guy named Eddie Brillinger. And he owned, at one time, and he sold it, Seafair Marine. Now, if anybody knows the marine industry in Fort Lauderdale, everybody buys their wood from Seafair. And Eddie started it. Sold it, and then he started a tool store. And he brought in the Festool lineup. Okay, I had my cabinet shop at the time. I was just getting going. And he said, "Dude, can you come work for me on the weekends?" So I was in there during the week buying some lacquer thinner because he had the best deal on 5-gallon buckets of thinner. And I said to him, I said, "What the hell? I heard about this Festool. I read an article about this Rotex thingy in fine woodworking a few years ago. We came to America in 2001.
No way.
Well, actually, we came to the States in 1997 as Tool Guide, which was based out of Santa Barbara. But corporately, we came back in. We were an import partnership, we call them. But we came in full corporate with a really cool dude called Christian Olcher. He really took everything over, started it 2000, 2001. So Eddie took on the line as an independent sales agent. He got me working on Saturdays. But a week before, I said, "What the hell is this?" And he showed me. Back then, it was the ATF 55, and I was the track saw back then. And he made a cut, and he said, "Look, it works on a guide rail thingy." He had no clue what he had in his hands. None. And he went cross-grain on a piece of plywood, and it was splinter-free. And then he tilted the saw and did the same thing. Here's the best part. I go, "How much do those guys want for that?" And he goes, back then, Zach, everything was $430. The Rotex was $430. "How much is that?" You go, $430. It was like the easiest sale, right? And I said, you guys got to be crazy. I ain't going to spend that. I got a Unisaw. I got a Powermatic 66. I don't need this thing. Okay, so that was a few weeks before I started. And then I went in and I bought it because I was in the middle of a build. And I built two days worth of jigs to do this set T with compound angles. And I was doing it on my table saw, and it came together. And there was a teeny tiny space on those compound angles. And I looked at Mikey and he said, dude, he goes, that ain't going to, we have to rebuild it. I said, I'm going to buy this track saw, or back then plunge cut saw from Festool from Eddie. And I went in and I bought it and I recut the whole thing in 2.5 hours. I sold, lock, stock, and barrel on this stuff. And that was in 2004, I think it was. Then they came out with a newer model the year after. Really pissed me off, but I was okay with that. Okay, because a week after I started on Saturdays with Eddie, and I dropped another $5,500 on Festool. So when somebody comes up to me and says Festool's expensive, I look at him, I go, I've been there, dude.
Oh, I remember vividly.
And I haven't looked back since. And then all of a sudden, I was at Eddie's store. He was open Sundays because the marine trades down there never stop. And I started working Saturdays and Sundays. And then if I had a slow week in the shop, I'd look at my business partner, Mikey, I go, hey, we don't have an install. We're in between builds. Can I go work for Eddie for a couple of days? You know what? That was kind of the best thing I ever did because I met the rep from Festool. His name is Jim Maynor. And he says, you want to do a trade show for us? I go, how much do you pay? He told me. I went, oh, yeah, baby. So they brought me up to Orlando. I did a marine show up there. Long story short, they called me, said, hey, you want to go to boat building school? And I met a bunch of people from Festool because they were learning about the marine trades. It was a target market, and I met a few people there. And Jim, about 6 months later, said, hey, I'll put your name in a hat. We're building a brand new corporate place in Lebanon, Indiana. And I said, what's in Lebanon, Indiana? He goes, a truck stop. And I go, okie dokie. But the land was cheap, great tax abatements, blah, 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 blah. And I interviewed, there was quite a few people, and I interviewed with Christian Olcher, the CEO. And what's really cool about that dude, I call him the dude, like the big Cajon, like the Big Lebowski. It's our favorite movie. He became a really good friend of mine. He hired me. That was a Friday. They flew me in on vacation, and they hired me on Monday. Best thing I ever did. I had to tell the kids we were leaving them behind. Mary Ann and I, my wife. But you know what the toughest part was, Zach? I had to tell my business partner that I was exiting the business. And I'm an emotional guy. I bawled and bawled and bawled. He just looked at me and goes, hey, man, you go to the bigs, have fun. I just talked to him 2 days ago. He's out in Denver now, moved the shop out there. He's doing great. So that's how I ended up at Festool. I've been there 14 years. It gets daggone better every day I'm there. They pay me to work with tools, teach people about the system. My job has evolved because of the pandemic. I'm doing a ton of digital stuff. I started Festool Sedge, my tips and tricks Instagram account. That's my personal account. But Festool allows me to do it at work. It takes about 5 minutes. I do it in 1 or 2 takes. Okay, usually 1 take, and everybody knows that. But it's been a lot of fun. And during the pandemic, everybody was running scared, but there was a couple of guys there. I just said, let's do a live on Friday. So Philip, I'll call him out. He's probably watching. Philip Stranard. He was one of the organizers. Chris Seibert, who's the camera dude. He's a very close friend of mine. Derek Clemens, that's Big D. He's the social. He runs the board. And Brent Shively, our other trainer, does the online questions and answers. And we have Minnie, who's our, I call her the ambassador. She's always the ambassador. She greets everybody at the door, but she doesn't have anybody to greet for the last year. She sits in the lobby, and she just comes and does the whiteboard. And it's a global thing now. Last year, we had 1 million+ views. It's gangbusters. It's going wild. Everybody's watching around the world. We have people, oh my God, watching. And if you ever watch it, you can see it on YouTube. It's YouTube Live Friday at noon. For me, it's the best thing that's happened to us over the last year because I have friends contacting me, even on the weekends, from East Yorkshire, from Kuwait, and from Malta. We have people watching all over the world. Somalia, Afghanistan. Oh my God, everywhere in Asia, Singapore. And it's cool. And everybody gets together and they just chat, but they love it when I call everybody out at the end of the day. And it's getting to the point where it's like, daggone, it's like 10 minutes of like calling out countries. But we also found out that a lot of people from Festool over in Germany are watching. And you know what I'm doing? I'm doing what I do anyhow. And by the way, those guys tonight text me right before and said, hey, have a good training. I like to teach people about Festool. It's my passion.
Yeah. I think Festool, what first, I mean, other than the sticker price, when I first ever heard about it, new contractor, broke as a joke, and someone's like, oh, hey, a vacuum. I didn't know, I would never call it an extractor. This vacuum, you want how many hundreds of dollars for a vacuum? You want how many hundreds of dollars for a sander? I'll go to Home Depot and get a little DeWalt thing that'll buzz around, and I'll push it out on it really hard. And like, that's all I knew. But Festool has changed the game. Now, knocked it off, and like, at least for my world as a painter, I honestly, I couldn't imagine doing what I do without Festool. But there was a time where like I thought it was insane.
Yeah.
And once you see, like, oh my God, like, watch when I turn the sander on and the vacuum turns on.
Yep.
Like, that was like a miracle moment 7 years ago for me.
You remember I told you I was over at Stuttgart? I was in Germany. That's where we're based out of, just outside of Stuttgart. And I was with a few contractors. There was this guy he's a third or fourth generation painter, professional painter. And he took me back after the day of working on different sites. And he takes me to it's a really compact shop, but he had his color matching area. He mixed his own paint. It was wicked. And then he breaks out our original sander, right? It's called I always forget, a Russia something. And we invented the first electric sander. And it was funny because it was his great grandfather's, and he turned it on. He goes, "This is still the best machine." He goes, "My dad used it, my grandfather used it. We all use this thing." And I'm just like, and I was like, we have to get this in the hand of the pro painters, because exactly what you said, Zach. It's designed for you guys. The extraction and all the for me in my shop in Fort Lauderdale. What was cool about it was, me and my business partner, we had a separate spray area, but it was open, and we didn't have a spray booth.
I know how you.
He realized after using this for a week, my God, we could spray before we went home at night, we could spray our seal coat because we didn't have all the loft. Festool, or the system, was capturing at the source. And that's what a lot of people don't get in there. And we had air scrubbers. We weren't turning them on because we didn't have any loft anymore. And that's what really cemented my head. Do you know that just saved a boatload of time for us? So it was like, I always say, gloves off, we're buying more. So when I was my business partner, Mikey, would rag on me. And he would say, dude. And I go, dude, it's my money, man. If I ever leave, they're going with me. So when he goes, first thing, we called them the girls, because all the guys would come in from the shop area and go, what are those Girl Scout cookies, all those boxes? So he called them the girls. He goes, you're not taking the girls. And I go, don't worry. I got plenty where I'm going, dude. I totally 100% understand that cost. And it's I'll say it's a hard nut to get over. But once you're over it and you understand the whole Festool system, but here's the kicker. I love it when I know somebody's got a lot of Festool and I walk in a shop and I show them stuff and they go, oh, dude, I love Festool, but I didn't know about that. So that's what I like about teaching people about, or people who are into Festool. But I also like to take those people who, I'm not a salesperson and I am a salesperson. Okay, because I just like to show people about this, and I like to inform people on so they make their decision. I know you've been to JLC. It's my favorite show. I know it's supposed to be later on in the year this year, but there's a guy who comes up to me well, I've been doing it. This will be my 14th year if I do it. I hope it happens because it's awesome. And what's cool about it, he always comes up to me and goes, it took me 5 years of you BSing me. Typical New Englander, right? But he goes, I didn't realize until I started messing with it myself. And I go, hey, I never pushed it on you. I never will. But once you buy one, man, it's a slippery slope. It really is, because you understand engineering behind it. And I'll be salesy right now. And then we throw in a wear and tear professional commercial warranty. I tell people, beat the snot out of it for 30 days. You don't like it, bring it back. Beat the snot out of it for 3 years. We're going to repair it. It's just unfortunate right now in the middle of this pandemic. Everybody is going through sourcing issues, supply chain logistics issues, and it's a drag. I mean, we're back ordered on some stuff, and we're back ordered on some parts, but I think everybody understands all of that. And I mean, I'll tell you a quick story, really quick. I wanted to go get a pair of Red Wings. I love Red Wings, shoes. And when the guy says, hey, it might be 2 months before, I go, I don't care. Just order them for me. He goes, oh, you understand? I go, oh, boy, believe me, do I understand. Yeah. And then I find out that some paint is tough to get, like you said, because of the cold snap they had down in Texas. And that's but I hope people do understand all of that,
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
I hope people understand, like, I'm not here to preach. We don't need to preach the Festool. Try it. Anyone who hasn't used it, tried it. But I know for me, when I first started, and I didn't have any money. I'm not making any money. I'm a new painter. I'm trying to start a company. And the idea of buying these kinds of tools was like, it seemed like a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only now, like, once you get your first, so the first time I bought a Festool vacuum and sander, I've never said it out loud. First time I bought a Festool vacuum and sander was because I was about to start a lead job.
Yep.
I bought them as insurance in case a lead inspector showed up. I could say, look, I have one of those vacuums and one of those sanders. That's Hepa.
Yep.
Great. But I didn't know what I was getting into when I bought those tools. I really bought them as insurance.
Yeah.
And today, every tool every extractor we have, every sander that we have, pretty much, like, it's just become such a part of our company, because once you touch those tools, man, it's game over. But like you were saying with this training, I bet if you came to my shop right now, you could teach us 5 things, and we use them all day, every day. But that's the other part about the Festool tools are so unique and high quality and so well engineered that they're not just like 100% intuitive. Sometimes you have to, like, learn some stuff.
Can I show you something right now? I went to a shop in Manchester Center, Vermont. It's where the Norman Rockwell stuff is. And I had a guy, he had a problem with his Capex, slide compound miter saw. And he was sending it in for repair the next day. And I said, don't do that. What's wrong with it? And I walked over, and it was a simple fix. He didn't know he had a lens, and I had cleaned his laser only shot once. I went over there, and he goes to me, he goes, you just fixed that for me. I go, you just didn't know. All right. By the way, it was my first Festool Sedge too, because people just don't know. Wait a minute. I got to ask you a question, Zach, or anybody out there on this feed. Do you know your tools come with an owner's manual? Who have you ever read them?
But the owner's manual is big.
Neither have I. So I always joke around about
money back on the computer I just bought.
By the way, that's a global standard. We don't read owner's manuals. We're dudes.
For me, it was Scott and Todd who got me into Festool. I was on the painters chat rooms, reading every word that Scott wrote, and Todd was in there too. And they were talking Festool. And then I went and saw him in real life at JLC Live. Again, I didn't have $10 in my pocket. The idea of buying those tools was crazy to me at the time. But I always saw them, and I was like, you know, the skeptical, and like, come on, like this is just a ripoff.
A gimmick.
And it was like over time. And I remember I was having an issue with one of the sanders, and so I'm interested to ask you this question: if this is true, if this is still true. But I was having an issue with the DTS. That's the triangle one, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And, I still, whatever. It's my least favorite of all the sanders. I know people. It's Scott's favorite.
It's my second favorite after the RO 150.
See, I love the ETS 150, the ETC, ETS.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But we do it the 3-inch. We do a lot of fine finish sanding.
Yep.
But they were like, "Oh, you know what you need to do? You need to get that sander, and it's like a Porsche engine. You got to break it in." And someone told me to put a drop cloth in a box and turn the sander on and run it for 4 hours straight.
Yeah, that was the old. Yeah, no, that was why is it too shaky on you?
Yeah, it's like all things being equal, I like the RTS 400. It feels smoother as I move it than the triangle one, the DTS.
That's interesting. I had the RTS and I should have owned the DTS because I'm a cabinet maker. I was standing up against a lot of adjacent surfaces.
Yep.
That was a thread that went out on the Festool Owners Group about breaking in tools, because let me see if I can draw this so everybody can see it. Our brushes at one time, here's the motor. Can we see that?
Yeah.
And our brushes were built like this, and it took a little bit of time to wear into the roundness of the motor. And that's where a lot of people were talking about it. It's no longer that way.
Okay. I haven't broken in a tool in a long time, but I vividly remember taking my DTS, putting it in a box, and running it for 4 hours, and thinking it was the coolest thing that I had a Porsche engine style engineered tool that needed to be broken in before I used it.
We had a tech out in Santa Barbara that used to tell everybody, break it in, break it in, break it in. It's no longer that way. Now, here's a tip I'll tell you. This thing runs so daggone smooth. And what I tell everybody on your dust extractor, if you've got too much vibration in there, right, turn down the suction control so it actually floats on there. Okay? Because it breaks the surface tension. You have too much suction, rattling a little. That's one thing. And the other thing I'll tell you is, I don't know if you know this, but this, you can always read when you have a born on date on all your tools. So you can actually see the month and the year it was built.
No way.
So what's cool about it is this sucker here was built in November of 2006. Okay, I have wicked old tools. I own all my tools here at the shop. And I was looking today, almost all my tools were built in 2006. And my K-Pax was built in 2007. And it's just, my tools just keep working. What I wanted to show you really quick is that guy I was telling you about in Manchester Center, he was sending it back. He goes, I just sent back my RO90. Okay, and yesterday, because I couldn't take the pad off, I was trying to take the pad off. Okay, and I said, did you put it in triangle mode to take it off? And he went, you know, and he goes, oh. And I go, don't worry. When it comes back to our repair department, we're going to go through the whole thing for you because, of course, it was under warranty, right? He goes, yes, it was. I go, there you go. And also, I hope everybody knows if you have an RO90, it's a 3-mode sander where you have the big dots of the Rotex, the small dots are your random orbit. But when you put it in triangle mode, everybody thinks you have to take off the head. You don't have to. You can actually use this as a fine finish sander in orbital. But you can put the triangle pad on as well. So a lot of people don't know that it works still with the round pad in orbital. I've showed that quite a bit to people on the RO90. I love that sander. But like,
do me a favor and bring that sander back.
yes, sir.
So, one of my favorite things to do, I haven't done this in a long time, but when I was in the field sanding all the time, one of my favorite things to do was to take the head of that sander off and take a putty knife and clean the dust that gets caked on the inside.
Yeah.
Do you have any in there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Clean?
Oh, no, it's a little buildup.
How satisfying is it? I don't think you need to do it. The tool was meant to work that way. I never know the difference, but there's like this little bit of buildup that happens inside that ring.
Yeah, right here.
And
just,
yep. Oh man, I used to love taking those caked up paint with a 5-in-1, and I clean it out because that was my first sander I ever bought. Was an RO90. It was the biggest purchase I'd ever made in tools when it came to sanders and stuff, and I fell in love with that sander first, like because it's such a versatile sander.
Yeah.
And I used to love to take that thing apart and clean it and go in there, and every time I just felt the satisfaction of watching like a satisfying video cleaning out the inside of those rings.
Zach, this is the first time I'm doing something like this with a split screen, and it's wicked cool. But I'm looking down every once in a while. I catch to see who's commenting.
Yep.
XC Painter, dude, I follow you. You're awesome. Yeah, I just like to call people out.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Yeah, I try to follow all the pros out there, but it's cool. Hey, does anybody have any questions?
So somebody just
I always get a kick at it when I look at the time. It's just like,
this thing we usually go for an hour to 2 hours. I hope
wow, this is flying. This is awesome.
Started, man. I got all sorts of questions for you.
Cool. Maybe I can answer them.
Well, while we're on the top, let's talk about sandpaper for a minute.
Okay.
Because again, when I first found out about Festool, I didn't know there was multiple types of sandpaper. I just knew you change your grits, you go buy sandpaper at the store, and then all of a sudden there's this book with all these different types of sandpaper, and my mind blown. I loved it. I'm a nerd, so I was like researching and oh my god, and and to this day we pretty much only use the Reuben and the Granat.
Boom.
But I'd like to, because I'm pretty sure I remember when Granat came out. Like, wasn't that came out? Did that come out right away?
Okay, no, it didn't come out right away. You want a little history of the sandpaper?
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's get a little nitty gritty, baby. Let's tackle this abrasive subject. Okay. When I first started with Festool, there were, I think, 9 papers. Okay, and I would get, oh my God, I'd get handed that shows. What are all these papers you have? It's so confusing. You want to know something? It was. So the other trainer at the time, Steve Bass, and myself, we just started saying, hey, Reuben, it's for bare wood.
Yep.
People, that's really simple. And people started listening to us, and they designed a really cool chart that they would put on the walls. Okay, so let me see if I remember. Back then, we had Sapphire, we had Reuben, we had Brilliant, okay? We had Titan, we had Crystal, everyone's calling it Crystal, we had Platine, and we had Fleece, and I may be forgetting something. And people go, oh my God, that's confusing. We also had another one over in Europe that came out called Diamant. Oh my God, this stuff is like $15 a pad and worth every penny. You talk to any automotive finishing guy and it's a game changer. Okay. But we didn't bring it in. The market didn't warrant it. So we didn't bring that one in. But people would say, you got too many choices. And we would say, do you ever look at the company 3M? They have like 28 different choices. Back then. They probably have more now. And a lot of people don't know this, but 3M is a dealer of Festool globally now. Their market is the automotive market with our tools, and they sell our tools in body shops in North America now, and it is going to be global as well. So that happened. We had a big press release about 3 years ago. So long story short, we started saying, well, then came out Brilliant 2, Titan 2,
Yep.
solid surface. Brilliant was for the painter, okay? And we came out with this unbelievably confusing brochure. Oh my God. So we simplified it, and we weren't, and then all of a sudden, I'll never forget the year. Someone says we're coming out with another paper, and but we're not going to bring it to the States. And there was this painter down in North Carolina said he went over to Europe. He got it in Europe. He ordered it from a European dealer, which is kind of a no-no, but he got it. And he wrote like a 10-page paper to our CEO and a couple of people in marketing and sales and said, you guys be crazy not to bring that. So we brought in some Granat, and then we tested it. We got rid of Brilliant because of it. We got rid of Titan because of it, because we call it, our Granat is our combination blade, like on a table saw, it's our combination blade of abrasive. If in the training center, people go, hey, do you have this? And I go, yeah, it's out back. Everything I use is Granat. I just love that paper. Now, we have another person at Festool, our TTS, or former TTS, Tool Technic Systems North America CEO, Fabian. He loves Rubin too. But he was sanding just bare wood on a project him and I worked on. And he thought he had a better finish. So Rubin 2 is fantastic just for bare wood. But as a woodworker, and I'll talk about those trades, a cabinetry, you do a lot more than just wood. You may even be a remodeler and you'll do some solid surface. You'll do some of that. So you just want to stick with one paper. Now, for painters, we just recommend 100% Granat. That stuff is awesome. You can go from 40 to 1,500, and I'll give you a little technical on that. It's all silicon carbide. Aluminum oxide, okay? But with 40 grit, 60 grit, and 80 grit, we also put ceramic in there, and it cuts like wildfire and doesn't load as much as a lot of other papers do. So we love it. So the other paper I recommend for painters, if you're doing multiple removals of coatings, you're working on an old house and you like 4 or 5 layers on it, I'll recommend, it's cloth back, it's Sapphire. And that's available, I think, at 36 grit to, I think, 80 grit.
That's what I think I use on my RAS.
Yes.
Right?
I was so bummed out when we discontinued the RAS. We discontinued that a couple of years. Yeah. I was wicked bummed out. Yeah. We had a wicked good deal on it at one of the dealers, and I didn't even pick one up. So I'll have to go back and steal one at Festool out of Recon or whatever. I'm just kidding.
We're just not going to get theirs.
Somebody's not getting one. I'm just kidding. I don't even.
I rarely used it, but when you did, you were like, this thing's amazing.
I use it for scribing all the time.
Yeah.
How to scribe with it. It's a wonderful tool. Wonderful tool. So if I'm to recommend any paper, I always recommend Granat, and it's amazing. And when you it's all paper back until you hit 800, and 800 it goes to a film back. So I teach people how to polish finishes with it, and then I go into our MPAs, or machine polishing agents, with the sponges and other pads that we have. And everybody's been asking for videos on that. So this summer, this summer I'll probably do a video series, or I'll try to do one on polishing finishes with our system.
I have some questions for you on that, because I have that system, but right now I only use it with the RO90.
Yep.
Grit mode.
Mm-hmm.
And the polishing is good. But to get up to there, I'm pretty sure that's when I use the platine with the foam back.
Yep. I used to use that's another one I forgot to talk about. That silicone carbide. Platine's awesome. It's available 400 grit to 4,000 grit. So I used to use platine all the time. But when we came out with the machine polishing agents, I always look at it. I'm just going to talk about lacquer or a poly, okay? And I look at it, and I know that how light reflects off the finish, okay? And I always will sand it with granite first now because I want to flatten it first, you know, the highs and lows.
Yep.
I don't start with 5,000 speed cut, the orange polish. But I always, when it comes to granite, I always start like with 1,200. And if it's taking too long, you can see the highs and lows. I drop down. And this sometimes I've had bad sprays where I'll drop down to about 800 and then work my way back up. The other thing that a lot of people don't understand about polishing or sanding like that, whether it's platine or granite, you got to make sure you wipe off everything between grits and use a surfactant. We have a surfactant. You can just take some Dawn, put a couple drops in a bottle of water and spray it, but that breaks away that grit. Because if you don't wipe away all that 800 grit and go up to 1,000, you're going to still sand some of that 800 grit in there. I've seen people polish down in Miami, and he was still polishing when I was finished. He was basically just getting started, and we sold the whole system to this guy, and he did all these high-end jewelry cases for around the world. And he just looked at his guy, and he said, "Stop." He goes, "You're doing it completely wrong." And I didn't have the hat to tell him. But there's a lot of people, it's tough sometimes because people have been sanding for years and years and years, and I don't like to tell people they're doing it incorrectly. I mean, you've probably seen it as well. I like to just say, hey, this is the way I do it.
Hmm?
And I saw one guy put his arm around me once. He goes, I haven't sanded for 40 years. I've been doing it wrong, dude. Because he goes, that's exactly right. I goes, sometimes I'm just sanding some 80 grit I left on there with 150 grit. So there's a lot to it. There was at one point, did I answer some of those questions on polishing, Zach?
That was good. I want to kind of go into the pad hardnesses for a minute and then going, because we use hard pads on all of our sanders, almost all our Rotexes all the time, because we do a lot of gloss work, and we want if we want flat and smooth, and if you have a soft pad, you're never going to get flat, right? And so, can you talk to me a little bit about because I never heard of a sander that has different hardnesses of pads,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and why is that important?
Okay, so
I don't know if everybody.
no,
I see a lot of guys that aren't aware of this.
That's a great question, unbelievable question, because I always think back. It's tough for me because I'm always, and this is what I have to learn about teaching people, I just think everybody knows the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a sales manager. I used to train the sales managers, and this dude, oh my God, he was funny. He asked me, "What's plywood?" He was a great sales guy, okay, but he just didn't know. And I went, wow. So the next day, I'm training him on sanders, and he goes, "Okay, Sedge," he goes, "Why do we sand?" That was one of the best questions I got that year, because I stepped back a couple of minutes. I go, "Oh, are you trying to remove something? Are you trying to level something? Are you trying to create a different patina on something? Are you just removing marks before some pencil marks or witness marks on plywood?" And that whole year I got over the course of time, and it really opened up my brain. People are asking, "Hey, what grit do I start with?" You know, and that's a huge topic that people just don't know. Like, you ask any woodworker, cabinet guy, sanding out some frames, what are they going to start with? 80 grit. So my question a lot of the times is this: "Hey, do you like to sand?" Okay, so if somebody says, "Yeah, I like to sand," I know you're a liar. Okay, jokingly. Some guy goes, "I kind of like to sand because I don't have to talk to my employees when I'm doing it." You know, stuff like that. But it's one of those necessary evils. It can be very monotonous. It can be a drag if you don't have a dust extractor hooked to it. So I always look at people and I say, okay, what are you trying to accomplish when you're sanding something? And this will lead into your question about pads, I promise you. Okay. When I talk about grits, I always ask, like, we're trying to level. We just built something like, let me just grab this piece. Okay. I have to level this. I'm doing a starburst here, right? With a bunch of tapered pieces. What am I going to start with on this? This is cherry. And these were offcuts that I had for years. Now, if a typical woodworker would start with 80 grit, I'll be sanding a long time trying to level all those pieces. I'll start with 40. 40 will level it, and then I'll remove. And people go, well, that's a deep scratch pattern. I go, but 60 will take care of it quick, and then 80 will take care of it. I will finish way ahead of that guy who starts with 80. Now, if I'm sanding plywood, say I'm sanding some casework, getting ready that has just been filled, I'll start with 120 because I don't want to burn through the veneer, right? Okay? Someone says, well, and then I'll talk to people. I go, well, I always sand to 220, 320, 400. I go, oh, okay, you like to sand. You should only sand to 180, depending on your finish, because you don't want to lose claw or adhesion. Okay, you want to give it some grip, some finish, and if you start to close off the pores, then you lose absorption and claw, right? So, but people go, why do you make grits, all that? I go, well, you got to sand in between coats of prime and paint. You got to get some of the drips or roping off or whatever. You sand in the wall, whatever. So there's a variety of reasons of what are you sanding? Okay, and what's your starting point with grits? Now, let's go to pads. Okay, what are you sanding? Okay, like, perfect for you. You're trying to get that flat surface. You're trying to level with it. You use the hard pad, right? Same thing on this piece right here I just showed you. It will fall undulations with the medium pad. We call them soft, okay? But that's the one that people use all the time, and it's kind of like the combination pad for everything. Then we make another one. I brought them out here, okay? I don't know if you know this. You probably do, but you know we color code all our pads.
Yeah, that's how people aren't using the hard pad while they're sanding gloss on Instagram because I don't see the blue ring.
See, they're color coded, right? Just that we color code everything, it makes it easy. This one, the gray backing pad, this is super soft, and I'll use this to sand in the higher grits in case I have a stray grit. Say I'm sanding 800 and I'm sanding 1,000. I'll use this, okay? And what happens is it's a little bit of play. It's not a contour pad. We call it super soft. It absorbs some of the grit in there, okay? So say you have an 800 grit, there's less chance for a swirl mark with that 800 grit with the super soft. And this is the one that, if you know the difference between the ETS 150/5 and ETS 150/3, now the ETS 150/3s come with the super soft pad because we would always recommend it. And people were saying, hey, why does it just come with it? So we decided to just put it on there. Okay, because the /3 is your finish to finish sander. Okay. Now, the other pad that and by the way, I have all kinds of old stuff. This is the original Jetstream pattern. If bosses are watching, they're like, Sedge, you got to get new stuff. I go, okay, give me some. Okay, but this is the old Jetstream pattern. But this is another great pad everybody needs. And when I show them this, I'm not trying to sell you it, but I know you're in this situation. See, it's a really soft pad. This is the contour pad. Okay, so you know how you sand a round over? Okay, a profile, and you go like this. Okay, you don't do this because you get the flat spots, right? Okay, so this pad actually will follow the contour perfectly. And you can go like this or like this if you want, and you don't have any facets or flat spots. It's the interface pad. And it just goes.
You can stack those too, right?
Huh?
You can stack the interface pad?
Yeah. This is the original thickness, but people were asking us, hey, could you do a thinner one? So the two thin ones you can stack. Okay? The thing is, if you take two of these thick ones and stack them, woo, you better hold on because you start to get some wobble.
Yeah.
Those are interface pads.
So there's another sanding company that will remain nameless. But everyone thinks that they invented foam backing pads on sanders, I think. I mean, a lot of people do. And my point is always, you could put an interface pad on a more robust sander and get the best of all the worlds, and gives you options rather than, I don't know. Let's not go there. But I'm just glad that we could point out that there's an interface pad. We do lots of hand sanding on details because we don't want to put a foam pad. Because if somebody could invent this is $1 million idea. If you could invent a foam that, when compressed, had pushed up on the surface the same amount as foam uncompressed, I would buy it. We would use it on all of our details. But you take we do very high-end stuff, and if you're going to take a foam abrasive and sand a contour, there's still twice as much pressure on the highs than the lows.
I know. Hey, Zach, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is really cool. Is there an interface pad for the DTS 400? No, there's not, and that ticks me off because I want one. I mentioned to Germany several times. I'm hoping it'll come out. But I didn't mean to interrupt you, Zach. I know exactly. The thing I want to show you, hang on, I grabbed this last minute. Do you guys use this? It's Granat abrasive on soft roll.
Oh, yeah. Been using it for years.
It blows me away. People don't know about this. This stuff is awesome.
That's the one problem that Festool has, is you go into all the different dealers, and every single store I go to has a different selection of things that they're selling. You sell too much stuff.
And you should see what's coming. Oh, my God. I want to say we're just beginning. Last year we hit our 20th anniversary in the States. It was awesome. Oh, the year before. Yeah, year before. We had our 20th anniversary. It was awesome. And I don't want to tell you, we're just beginning. Somebody says, what is it that we always say? It's no longer what's Festool. They go, oh, Festool. It's always that. Oh, Festool. That's the expensive tools. But you know what I'm hearing more? I don't have any. My favorite 3-letter word, yet.
Yep.
We know that we're always looking at our brand, how to get the name out there. What you just mentioned about dealers, some have this, some have that. We're looking for more consistency. We started bringing in some more specialty dealers. You guys all know we're in Sherwin-Williams. That
didn't go so well. I didn't know you were in Sherwin-Williams. My Sherwin-Williams dealers did a very poor job stocking what you needed, having nothing I ever needed was at the store. The same stuff has sat in the case forever.
Yeah.
But I have a place near me in Fall River, Massachusetts.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
If they don't have the largest selection of Festool in America, I'd love to find the place that did, because their sandpaper collection is unbelievable. Every time I walk into Burns Tools, I buy tools I didn't even know Festool stuff I didn't even know existed.
They're great, great people too. That's what's so cool. I always tell people, you want to buy from people you like, you know. This here, Granat Soft, I'll show you really quick. Let me just get some dark wood here or some. Zach, you probably know this, but maybe some of the listeners don't. When you're sanding with Granat Soft, if you look at the back, it's a sponge. If you look right here, it's actually your first tack cloth. And a lot of people don't know that. And I just think it's great. There's a lot of different shop rolls out there. Oh my God, I'm training on hand sanding abrasives tonight. But when you break it, it doesn't, we perforate it so you don't have any extra grit right here, so you can sand right into the corners. So even there's a lot of thought on this. So
yeah, those were a game changer, but I only found out about them because my paint stores didn't sell that, but my hardware store that I first ever started buying this stuff at, they had those rolls. And then I special ordering the other grits because they didn't have all the grits. And I think I'm going to suggest that the painters need their own, we need like a place where all the stuff that Festool sells is just for painters. And because there's just so much.
I know. And yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. And that's a toughie sometimes because people want to cherry pick our line and they don't know. And we can only suggest the right stuff that painters are looking for. We do have, maybe not in your neck of the woods. Well, there's a couple really good ones, but maybe not in the Providence area. There's some good paint stores around the country that stock all the stuff for painters. You know what the kicker is? They want to sell all the other cutting tools and we won't let them. So what happens is some of the paint dealers leave that program and go to what we call a full line dealer. And it's a good thing. We let a lot of dealers do what they need to do to be successful. We just want them to be successful. Did that sound corporate enough?
Oh, that was the bosses are smiling.
Marine Industry Tool and Supply, Eddie's business. He would scream at me if I didn't have a pallet of sapphire, because that's what we used to remove bottom paint. Scream at me. We'd have 50 boxes of bags at any one given time. We sold Rotexes 6, 7, 8 a day with a CT22. It's just the stuff flew because people back then were working with an EPA or OSHA regulation called CMA, Clean Marine Act. And it was sanding bottom paint. It's kind of like all this stuff we knew was coming for lead, okay? But it was early on, so, you'd walk on a yacht like Broward Marine and say, hey, you guys sanding these yachts and removing bottom paint or blah, blah, blah. We got a great system for you. Okay, we'll take 10 systems.
So when did Hepa vacs start being attached to sanders? Was that
all the way back in 2007? Festool had Hepa filters in there. At one time, it was an additional, but then we started to include them in CT22s. I think. No, that was in 2004. I was selling.
They've been selling sanders attached to vacuums for a long time then? Because I never heard of attaching a sander to a vacuum before I saw Festool.
50s. In Europe, in the 50s.
Wow.
Absolutely. It was the right. No. The vac systems came out, I believe, in the 70s.
If people have questions, there's a question button. It's a little question mark. Put your questions there, and I will get to them. I promise. That when you put your questions in the captions, I don't see them only right away, but we might be in the middle of a thought. Everybody, put your questions at the bottom in the little question thing, and I promise we'll get to them.
Okay, here's one for you. Here's a little history. This is the Rotex sander, right?
Oh, I know that guy.
RO150, right? This was brought to market in 1976. Do you know what color it was? Black and yellow. Those, I know. It's really weird, man. It's like I go, oh, wait a minute, man. And then somebody started making, it was funny because a lot of our tools were black and yellow at one time.
So there must be people who collect vintage Festool stuff.
Oh, right? Yeah. We have our own museum in Neidlingen. That's where our corporate headquarters is. I just had a brain fart there. And no, I'm sorry. Neidlingen is where we manufacture. Vinlingen is where our corporate headquarters is. It's just outside of Stuttgart. And what's cool, we have this museum that's just for employees, for internal training. And somebody says, boy, when was the track saw invented? And you say, in the 1960s. And somebody will go, huh? But we were building saws all the way back in the 30s. It's crazy. And when you go into the museum, there must be 60 saws in there, and they were all innovations. and we've always done this. We've always innovated. We're really proud of coming out with new product and innovating. I mean, look at the track saw. We invented it, but how many track saws are out there now? And I used to have people laugh at or look at me going, "That's crazy. That's crazy. I have a circular saw that I put on a straight edge and it works." I go, "Okay." Right? And that was back in the early 2000s.
I'm a painter and I own a track saw. And really, there's not a very good reason. I don't have a good answer for why I have it. I had to make one cut one time. I don't even think it was on a project I was going to sell. It was a personal project. I justified a reason to buy a track saw. And I had to get the big track saw because I needed to make a deep cut.
Yeah.
Now that track saw is sitting in this beautiful case. I'll use it again next year.
You could probably sell it for more than you bought it.
It's made 4 cuts. It's in mint shape.
Somebody always asks me, "What's your favorite Festool tool?" And it's
that. That's going to come at the end. I have 3 questions I ask everybody.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be one of them. So let's make everybody wait till the end now.
Okay. Because I have a favorite. I say it every time.
All right. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Let's circle back to, I hate that saying. Let's go back to America. We don't have to say circle back. Let's go back to buffing. We didn't get to the end of buffing, but you're saying that after you flatten the lower grits, when you get up to 800, you like to switch to, you recommend switching to a softer pad.
Oh yeah, the super soft pad. And
okay.
Absorb stray grit on there. And I usually go like this. It's pretty easy in my head. I go, depending on my highs and lows, I want to flatten. I go 800. I'm a grit skipper. I'm a grit skipper. Okay. I go 800, 1200, 1500.
That's not a grit skipper. Well, that's not
say it 5 times, baby.
That's not a grit skipper. I was always taught you can't double your grits.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you're safe there, man. I do that same schedule. I might go 1,000, 1,500, right?
And if I'm sanding bare wood and I'm shooting lac, a seal coat, whatever, I go 80, 120, 150, I'm out of there. I'm done. I don't need to sand any higher. It's crazy. I don't waste money and I don't waste time.
Okay, so
after hard hit 1,500, I put on the orange sponge.
Okay.
Or the sheepskin, and probably more. I use the sheepskin as my application pad for the 5,000 grit, and they're all color coded. The orange pad matches with the 5,000 grit speed cut, and then I think it jumps up to the blue pad, and I think that's around 8,000.
Yep.
And then, and you know what? After 5,000, sometimes you're good to go. But 800, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then every once in a while, I'll go to the white just to show off a little. And that's I think that's around 10,000, 11,000 grit now.
11,000. It just sounds cool to say you used 11,000 grit.
Yeah. And so the RO90, I'm going to circle back. Okay, because you use the RO90, right?
Yes.
I do too for polishing, but I do it. I use platine instead of granite because I want to follow a contour. So if I'm polishing headlamps, you know how you get that craziness, that crazing on your lenses on your car's front lights? I'll take it and I'll go 400, 500, 2,000, 4,000 platine, and it'll still be a wicked haze on there. And I'm not supposed to talk about this, but I mixed it with water and wet sand it with the RO90. It follows it perfectly. I tape around the lens, and then I'll hit it with an orange sponge and 5,000 speed cut, and my God, it's crystal clear. So I've done a video on that. clarify this for me, because I have a hunch, but I you just follow religiously.
the orange, blue, and white foam pads, they're all the same, but just different colors so you remember what grit you put with them? Or are they actually different too?
They're different abrasive levels.
The foam is, not just the...
Uh-huh.
Yep. All right. Good thing I followed it religiously.
Yeah, good thing you circled back around to that.
And we circle back around, and we'll check in on Monday.
We'll pull it down.
What do people say in corporate America? I don't know.
Oh my God. I chuckle. I had to get used to it. I had to when some people come in the training room sometime, I go, gloves are off, because I'm from New England, I swear. Okay. And it's really tough sometimes. And it was really tough for me. And I got pulled into HR a few times, or VP's office, and said, dude, we can hear you across the building. Stop swearing. So I had to get used to that.
You're halfway between corporate. You're in a corporate world while being a contractor. That is something.
Exactly. And Scott and Todd and I, we've often had a couple of beers and talked about writing a book, going from contracting to corporate. And we joke around about it, and they go, Scott goes, I'll write it with you, dude. So he goes, every once in a while he'll go, what chapter you on? And I already get the title for it and everything. So you never know what might happen. I'm just going to grab a quick.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Little aqua.
So you mentioned earlier, and it's a point I've told a few people about, but it is important that everybody knows to turn down the suction on their back, or their extractor. I'm sorry,
Yep.
Their extractor.
Yep.
When standing, and it kind of varies depending on the grit, right? That's how I've always done it. Is if I'm going to use 40 grit, I might be a little higher than all the way down.
Yeah.
Extraction, but you can feel it, right?
Oh my God, you can hear it on the older dust extractors, like the 22 and 33. You can hear it because there was a bigger range on there. So this is how I teach everybody now. It's so easy. If it's an orbital sander or a random orbit sander, okay? And you start to feel it's sucking. It sounds funny. It's sucking down too much, but I always just automatically turn it all the way down. There's not that big a difference on the newer dust extractors of the pitch. Now, when it comes to Rotex, okay, nothing's breaking the surface tension. That thing's a monster, right? So I never turn it down on the Rotex. You're removing a lot of time. But here's the other thing. If you get some of the higher grits and you're in Rotex still, I turn it down.
And this was a trick I used to always do. I've been in the field a little bit, but I used to use the splitter, but one hose on the splitter. Say I was getting into the higher, right? And low was still sucking it to the wall.
Yeah.
I splitter, and I would take that cap and I would like put the cap on like halfway.
Yeah.
And that would reduce the more.
That's smart. You know what I used to see when I was out with people? If there was too much suction, they would drill holes here. It works.
Yeah.
It works. They have it all the way down, but there's still too much suction. Yep. The sander, listen, I always tell people, if I see some, and this was me early on 30 years ago, putting a lot of pressure on there, I didn't have a lot of money. I'd start with 80, and by the time I switched it, it was 320, right? Paper, to me, back then was expensive. And now I look back and I go, man, was I wasting a lot of time? So what I teach people is if you put a lot of pressure on that, lower the grit, let the machine do the work. If it's sucking down too much, turn the suction all the way down. You'll feel it, you'll hear it, but more so you'll feel it. It will float on that.
You can also turn the speed up, right?
The speed is always up. The only time you turn it down, for me, okay, the only time I turn it down is if I'm doing a radius, okay, with the interface pad. Because you know you'll break that edge quick if it's going too fast. So I slow it down a little. That's why we have variable speed on our sanders. A lot of people don't know that. I slow it down sometimes when I'm using 1500 grit with a super soft pad. I'll slow it down too, because especially if it's a poly, because of the layers, I don't want to burn through and get haloing and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And that splitter, though, that splitter is huge, and I don't know if everybody knows about that splitter.
Yeah, I don't have one here. I call it the flux capacitor because it's a big Y, from Back to the Future, the flux capacitor. But that's a big thing we had with painters is how many sanders can I work off of there? You can work 2 at the regular length of the 27 millimeter hose. But painters were saying, man, I'm working up on a scaffold. So we had a brochure at one time. I haven't seen it in a while. You can connect as many hoses as you want. You're just going to lose some suction after 2 connections of hoses. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Over the years, that was a royal pain in the patoot until we changed the new hoses. Now you can automatically connect them. You don't have to buy a bunch of parts. Did you know that?
A viral video idea for you. Put as many hoses, get 6 Ys, 10 flux capacitors, get 10 people from the office, 10 people on sanders, and I want to see that video of 10 from one vacuum. Extractors, I might have to do it. No, you only need 1 extractor. I need 7 sanders, but I have the hoses for it. I might just order a bunch of flux capacitors from my
Yeah, it's cool. That was the one thing, we always do this. This new hose, I don't know. Do you have this new hose, Zach?
We at this point we don't have all 3 hoses anymore. I finally got rid of my last old plastic one that would kink on you.
Yeah, this here is amazing, and we really redid the inside here, so I could take another hose and just connect right to it. And it was a problem.
Back in the day, trying to connect 2 hoses.
You'd have to buy another one of these and hose connector. I did PDFs for the office of how to connect them, with pictures in the early days. Then I did videos. I must have done 20 of those. And we get the question still. And then we came out with this. So one of our colleagues who works in the New York City area, his name is Solius. What a great dude. He's been with the company almost 28 years now, I think. And I first showed him this, he goes, how many years have we had dust extractors? He goes, finally, we invent this. He was so excited. It was fun to see.
I had no idea.
Yep. Yeah, this hose here, I just think it's one of the greatest things we've come out in a few years. But it's not really our idea. It's your ideas. We listen to you guys. It's like the new Planex. Give me a break, man. We used to see all these modifications on the Classic, and we made the Planex EZ, but then 2.0 with random orbit, oh my God. And the light, I know the light went through, I think, 15 iterations before we got it right. And it's 5,000 Kelvin. It's perfect. Yeah. I got to be careful. I can't say perfect. I had a prototype Planex here. I have it in the basement of the house. I did my entire basement with the Planexes. I just wanted to, and it was amazing. And now when I said, oh, we're coming out with another Planex, wow.
That they sell in the Planex sandpaper.
Huh?
What's the highest grit sandpaper they sell for the Planex?
I think it's 400. And I think that's in granite. I'm not positive. 320 or 400. Yeah.
I have a dream. We've just been started experimenting with ours. I love that it's random orbit. That's a game changer for us. Couldn't really use ours very often. Everything we do is such fine finish that the other one just wasn't very practical.
Yeah.
But we sand anybody. I mean, we do a lot of gloss walls, and we'll skim coat and prime 10 or 11 times before top coat, and we sand those walls every time with 6-inch ETS 3s.
Wow.
The idea that we could put a hard pad on a Planex and go up to 600 or 800 grit would make my day. But I'm probably such a weirdo that they won't make 600 grit for me. Like that, probably not enough people doing it.
Wow.
But I'm very excited to
Cool.
sand primer stage
Yeah.
with the Planex for the first time. The guys are excited. I should say I am because of production, but the guys are excited too, so they don't have to sand for as many hours. We have one coming up, and we're gonna be doing our first tests of
Good.
because what we were worried about is the gouging that happens when you don't have the control. Even with the 6-inch sanders, you have to be in great control.
Right.
And now you add a pole to the mix.
Yep.
But so far that Sanders has impressed. The fact that you can put different hardness pads on a Planex.
Yeah. No, it's it's just cool being involved with a company like this. We just don't sit back on our laurels and say, okay, we got this, we're good with this. We're always trying to improve. Just I understand it when we come out with another type of sustainer last year. But people, I had a buddy, he went, "You gotta be kidding me, dude. You're gonna piss off everybody," because I showed him the Generation 3 early on. I don't mean to switch subjects, but
No, great.
I just love innovation. I dig it. I know I can't ever leave this company because we keep coming out with wicked cool stuff. Wait till next year. Oh, wait a minute. Wait till 2023. There's some cool stuff coming out. I am so stoked. That's all the tease.
No one's watching right now. You can let me know what those things are. I'll keep a secret.
Let's call it a teaser. I remember when somebody came up to me and says, you got to come out with a larger domino. And it's because you need a larger length. Sometimes I don't have the heart to tell people, dude, it's coming. I can't say it, and somebody goes, what you got to do with the domino? You got to do this. You got to have multiple pins. He was telling me and our CEO at the same time. And I looked at him, I go, he's going to think that's his idea, but it's already been patented. It's coming out in 2 years. So that's
so the main differences between the new Planex is random orbit versus rotary, which is, those are literally, they're two different tools now, right? Where you'd want to use one, you would, I see them as two different tools. You have that crazy LED light.
Mm-hmm.
The hardness, could you always change the hardness of the pad on the other Planexes?
Yeah, and
you want to know how I don't know? Because my paint store didn't sell the multiple hardness pads, so
to correct you a little bit, it comes with a backing pad, and you put on. There's only one type of pad.
Oh, I thought there was a pad. You could change the pad like you change the hard and soft.
Nope. But I will tell you, that backing pad will last forever. Okay, and that piece that goes on it is an interface pad, and it floats it. The complaint we had in the past was changing the pads, or I put on the regular pad and I put an interface on that and I get no dust extraction. Where people didn't know the other pad that you should have bought with the interface pads, this was on the Classic, was a slimmer pad to put it underneath the bristles. Okay, so it was protruding past the bristles, which were because it was rotary, not random orbit.
Yeah.
So now it's the backing pad plus an interface pad, and the finish is exceptional.
Love it.
You will see, because we designed it for some of the complaints we got with people going for level 5 drywall finishing.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're not closed-minded. We want to make sure, because we build for you. And we let the homeowners buy it. I hope I didn't offend anybody.
Oh, no homeowners watch this. Don't worry.
But the thing is I've said that, and I've said it in public before, and I kind of think back and I go, oh man, I should have said that. But you want to know something? We built for the professional trades. And if you really look at our mission statement, it says that. I love the homeowners and the weekend warriors. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of them should have been pros.
Oh, yeah.
But they just happen to be doctors. Right? Okay. They just happen to be engineers. They just happen to be an attorney or software.
I know an architect who actually came. We started a painting school. So people come out and we teach them how to do high-level finishes.
Yeah.
And we had a woman came up from Florida. She's an architect, and she's doing 11 high-gloss rooms. I mean, you're talking about more work than I could possibly imagine. For us to do one room is a massive undertaking.
Wow.
And is a $40,000 room to paint. And she's doing 11 of them. And she's sanding it and skimming it, doing it all herself. You don't have to be paid to do this work to be really good at it.
Oh, my God. One of the finest. There's two guys I knew in Florida. They're some of the finest designers and furniture builders I ever met in my life. One was a photographer for the Miami Herald, and one was a plumber. Okay? They were just that good.
Yeah.
There was their attention to detail.
Love this stuff.
Some of those guys are my best friends.
Oh, Lena's here. Sanding is one of those things. So my company, I would say we sand 70% of our labor hours are spent sanding and 30% painting. You know, a very, very high percentage even for painting.
Yeah.
And if you don't love it, you know, if you don't understand that without doing this, we can't get that amazing thing later. It's one of those things it's either in you or it's not.
Yeah, it's passion, baby. You got to have passion for what you're doing. And people see that. I mean, everybody asks, if you ever left Festool, what would you do? And I'd go open up a shop in a heartbeat. I just love it. I love building, man. I always will. I mean, people go, oh, what do you do on the weekends? I'm in my shop at home. I'm working. I'm building. That's my wife. that I don't build for anybody. So
I want to talk about lights now, because this is where what Festool does is so special. Because I was a diehard Festool guy. I had a stack full of Festool sanders and every Festool thing you could imagine. But when I saw the price tag on the inspection light, I was like, that's a light. There's no way that light's worth that money. And I'm really grateful. A good friend of mine convinced me to buy one for the first time. Now we have 3 or 4 of them, I think, in my company.
Yeah.
The inspection light has saved me more money. It's like putting a coat of high gloss on while you sand. It's unbelievable. How did that happen? Like, where did that come from? And what makes it, how are you able to do that? What makes it special?
It's, God, there's a German phrase for it, but it translated into English. It's a blessing and a curse. Okay? And you don't let a homeowner buy one.
No.
Okay? You don't let them see you using it. So just a quick story. We, as trainers, were given a topic if training sales managers or training internal. So I did the inspection light, and because I kind of knew how great it was, and holy moly, I had inside sales, and I'm not going to say her name. She's been with us forever, and she said, "Oh, Seth, not another light." So I took them into the hallway and I put it up. I go, "Hey guys, think of the hallway here, outside the training center leading into inside sales and customer service." She goes, "It looks good." And I turned on the light and they went, "Oh my God, did they do a lousy job?" Okay. And then I put it down on the tile, and then the marble guy who did the lobby did a great job, but you could see the undulations or the offsets of the tile. It wasn't all even. It's a raking light. And that's the whole thing. I always had a light in my finish area, and just go inside the spray booth. Look at the lighting in there. You have to have it because you have to see how you lay down your overlaps, right? Okay. I use my inspection light, and I knew I was going to be talking to you guys. I have this all the time in here, because if I'm finishing, I can lay it here or put it on the tripod now. And as I'm spraying, I can see how I'm laying down, right? Okay, but also, and I use this, we built conference tables for Festool in the new building, and I'm notorious for swirl marks. Oh my God, I hate, of course I'm talking to the choir here, I'm preaching to the choir, but I inspect everything for swirl marks, because I hate it when I just start my finishing and I get the pop.
Yep.
And that inspection light is a raking light, and it's absolutely
So
wonderful.
they have, is it the mirror? They have little mirrors in there or something that are like shining the light to a point.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why could it possibly be special? And then what it does to a surface is eerie. What it can do.
Pops, doesn't it? That's why it's that way. And we wanted to make it compact enough. 16-foot cord, you can check everything. We make the bracket for the tripod for it. And you know what we were seeing? Everybody was using it with the Planex. And we have pictures of people holding it, right, while someone's sanding. And that was the impetus for the LED on that. So, you remember in the beginning I said, hey, I do Festool Live and I create all the content for it and set up and everything. I said this about a month ago. I'm going to do, not this Friday, but a week from Friday, I'm going to do a whole thing on lighting. Festool lighting. Someone says, "Ooh, that ought to get no views." Jokingly. You'll be surprised about our lighting. I have learned so much about it. You know the Cis Duo, that huge we have? Oh my God, when I was trained in Germany on one, I went, oh geez, it's a light on a tripod. And when we turned that on, I was blown away. That is amazing. It's the clarity of light. I don't know if you notice in here, I got 15 LEDs in here because I just upgraded my shop. And for me, I wanted the best, and I used American green lights. I'm not calling out anybody or whatever, but I bought these because they're 5,000 Kelvin. Okay, they're absolutely phenomenal. And for me, it's not about a lot of light. It's about the clarity. Everything pops. So when I was talking to the guy at that company, I went, oh my God, 5,000 Kelvin, that's what we use. That's what the Planex is, the new Planex. It's 5,000 Kelvin. And I don't know if everybody knows, it's designed for the painter because it's the right color rendering for what color you guys are always looking, yellow, right? That's a tough color, right? And you have to have the right, if it's less than 5,000, like around 3,000, you're going to get yellowy.
Yep.
Okay, if it's over 5,000, like at 8,000, everybody thinks the more the better. No, you're going to get the bluish tint. So that's why 5,000 Kelvin is right in there, and that's why we always focus on that. So everybody thinks, oh, it's just the light, right? But almost all our lights, I'm even going to talk about during the Festool Live, I'm going to talk about the lights on our drills, the right positioning of them. Some people complain, but they're designed to shine right where they need to be. There's a lot to them. And
that is one thing that I've now become resigned to. I'm like, if Festool is selling this tool, you have 100% of my faith. After that light, that was the last straw. I was like, I get the dust extractors, I get the sanders, but lights, come on. I can buy those at Home Depot. That changed my whole perspective. So now, if Festool comes out with a tool, I'm for it. Let's talk about the drill mixer, the mud mixer.
Ooh, yeah.
We love our mud mixer.
Okay. So I have a guy who said, it's funny, man. You get some cool questions or topics. That's neat. Ian, my buddy Ian from East Yorkshire, England. He said, Sedge, can you do a Festool Live on the mixers? And we have I think it's okay. I always get confused. I think it's the MX 1200. We only have one here in North America. There's a lot of cool engineering behind that, the ergonomics of the handle. But what people don't understand is it's height adjustable. Okay, there's a ton of torque in it. It's variable speed in the trigger. You have a governor for variable speed. Everything is right there. We have the different mixing paddles. So we want to simplify it, huh?
The mixing paddles are sweet.
Yeah,
I like them.
I think so too. The one that comes with it,
yeah,
on everything.
Yeah.
Okay. What did I use it for? I just mixed up something here. Maybe it was a concrete. It was a concrete for my small pad I mixed last summer. So,
but now I have.
Go ahead.
Now that I've seen the sustainer that the new Festool's in, the new Playnex is in.
Yeah.
Because the one thing with the mixer is it doesn't come with the. It's like the tool I've ever bought from Festool that doesn't come with anything to put it in.
I know.
So I think the XX, is it the XXL?
XXL. It's sweet, dude. That is I got one. I got a Playnex here. I brought this from work. Yeah, this is the XXL. That mixer would fit perfect in there.
I think it would.
Yeah, and we have a slightly lower XXL as well.
I'm sure they're not selling millions of the mixer, but boy, it would be sweet if they had a sustainer with the foam stuff in it, where you put it all in and it just went.
Yeah, we have a polisher called the Shinex, and that always came in a cardboard box, and I always wanted that in a sustainer. So when we came out like 3 or 4 years ago with a MIDI that fit in the middle of the stack, it was a T-lock. That's where I put my Shinex in. But I would like something like this with the Shinex with some different pads for polishing in there and stuff like that. So you never know. I haven't seen anything yet, but maybe somebody's listening in Germany right now and say, "Oh, that's a good idea, Sedge."
So I think it's the Shinex is about the only sander, like the only abrasive tool that I don't own from Festool at this point.
Yeah, that's a cool story. That had been in Europe for a few years. We weren't going to bring it over. We did what we call a soft launch. We just put it in our catalog. We didn't do promotions on it. We brought it for one of the automotive manufacturers here in the U.S. because that's what they use in Europe. And it's gone through a few different innovations, and you never know what's coming out, but we still have them. It's a good polisher, but I do all my polishing because I'm not doing cars or airplanes or whatever. I'm using the Rotex. It does. We had a guy who in Michigan. He wanted the Shinex really bad. He goes, "Oh, I read on all the forums over in Europe. This is the Mac Daddy for polishers. It's perfect ergonomics on it. There's heat sinks of where we hold it and everything." And we sent him one of those, and we sent him a Rotex. And he goes, "I was going to write you guys a great letter on that Shinex," but he goes, "I'm going to do one on the Rotex." He goes, "That thing's amazing." You know what he polishes? Lamborghinis and Ferraris. And that red paint is really tough to polish. And the only tool he uses now is the Rotex.
Well, that makes me feel better. I used a little baby one because we try to never polish. We do a lot of gloss.
Yep.
We try to get it glass off the gun. And, it just polish because we use oil enamel. It takes a long time to cure. You're not the next day. Like, we stay far away from polishing, but I have done tests with it in the past.
Yeah.
And I use the RO1 or the RO90.
Yeah.
And it worked, but I try to stay away from polishing.
It's labor intensive.
It is.
There's a lot to it, and you can make a mistake wicked quick. So you got to just be careful with that for sure. Cool.
And then we got storage. So which is like, you could probably spend 3 hours on this topic, but we have experimented. We finally got it down to a stack with the drawer pullouts.
Yep.
The two different boxes, and we have a nice sort of setup to keep our stuff on site with. But you guys have like an insane range of sustainers, right?
insane. God, and we just with Generation 3, we just came out with the ultimate organizers. We redid the line. This is the only Generation 3 I have in there. I thought T-Lock was perfect, and when we came out and I saw what Generation 3 was, I was like, oh no, now I got to redo my whole sustainers that I have. I mean, I'll just turn that a little bit. I'm not bragging, but yes, I do have a few.
Oh man, don't show me that.
Oh, and there's the European Festool table saw that I'm not supposed to have. But
I'm so jealous of that stack of drawers.
But you know, those are the sys ports, okay? And I bought all of those because guess what? Those were getting ready for the dumpster, and I said, "Can I buy a few of those?" And that was in 2007. They said, "Sure." So I bought those, and then I bought all the tools. And over the years, I've created a collection. So let's get back to the topic. We have all kinds of systems. You are using, and I'm going to try to pan down here. Just bear with me. I got a little. Okay, you're probably using that 3-drawer sustainer there, right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it's 3 drawers. My guy, I just pay for it. They buy. They're like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, I think,
right there. I think that was a T-Lock.
Wow.
That was in a T-Lock system. That's the one that I really like. But with the new generation, by the way, that's staying in the lineup. The new Generation 3 we just redid. We have these organizers. We've always had this one called Sysbox, where you would put all your nuts and bolts and stuff in there, and you could turn it and flip it around.
Which one has the handle? With like the...
Oh, this one right here probably. That accordion's out. Have you seen this one?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I got to make some more money, man. Festool. Festool needs $10,000 organization going.
Oh my God. I'm probably this wall right here in my shop. I just sealed off my garage door, my 2 bay, and that right there, I think I'm going to make a wall of the new organizers and get rid of some of my router cabinets that are all my parts and hardware. I'm always tweaking stuff. You guys know Shop 101. You're always tweaking stuff. You're on the job site, so that 3-drawer sustainer's great. We make combination ones. I know some people who we call them combis, where they retrofit their tool storage on top, and they have a drawer in the bottom.
Yep.
God,
And then there's the cart.
Oh yeah.
That we wheel it in on.
Yep, the sys roll.
Yep.
That's cool, and then you get the storage in the bottom drawer. That's another great story. I had a sales manager say, "How much is that going to sell for?" And I told him, and he went, "It's a wheeler." And I go, "Hey, listen, you think we're going to invent something or we're going to produce something that won't sell?" And he went, "Huh?" To this day, we get 18 wheelers of them, and that's about 10 years old. It's amazing. I always tell people this: don't analyze what somebody's not going to purchase. Let them make the decision. Show them the cool stuff about it. And yeah, sometimes I have to teach sales guys the applications for this. You see it. It's a great thing. It's like everybody stacks on top of their mini or MIDI or a 2636, right? But they got other stuff they got to take to the job site. So that wheel is awesome. And you get the rub things on there that are replaceable. You pull it up. You get the balances in there. You get the strap. It's wonderful.
We just got into that's our job site organization. Like we roll in.
Yep.
With the stack of sustainers, store it with all the storage, the drawers, all this stuff. Like that's our kit.
Yep.
And it makes us look professional. You know, an image is half the battle here.
Name of the game.
Right?
You walk in with a dust extractor, and I used to walk in on a job site for an install. My business partner used to get so ticked off because the homeowner would go, "What's that?" And he goes, you don't work for Festool. Stop talking about the tools. We're kitchen builders. But who cares, man? And you know what it showed? It showed that we were coming into their home and we were going to be clean. They go, is that a vacuum? I go, it's a shop vac. Back then. Now I have to call it a dust extractor.
Yeah, you're getting paid, so you have to say Extractor.
Extractor.
Yeah, that's a tough jump for me mentally.
No worries. I'm so used to it. So people ask me all the time, what's the difference between a shop vac and a dust extractor? A dust extractor hooks to the tool and gets it at the source, where usually a shop vac is clean up afterwards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's splitting hairs, you know?
The idea that anyone turns on a shop vac inside of somebody's home today, I mean, is insane to me. The concept of turning on and finally atomizing little tiny particles of dust out one end while you suck out of the other end is nuts to me.
Yep.
You know, I've just and for a long time that was standard, but I've been using extractors with Hepas for so long that I don't turn on a non-Hepa in somebody's house. That would be crazy.
I know. You know, to me, sometimes when somebody says, "Oh, I don't use the bag inside the dust extractor," I go, "Do you realize you're poking a hole in that HEPA and you're flooding somebody's house with fine dust?" You should always use the bag, because the bag is a 5-micron filter.
It's also going to ruin your HEPA filter pretty quick.
You're going to damage it.
Art, right?
Yeah, you're going to damage your HEPA filter, and there's a 100 bean you got to spend right there for a new HEPA filter, because dust flowing out, that's going up in the air, and there's no filtration anymore. It's just sucking it in and blowing it out. Yeah. But you know, I totally understand that. I had shop vacs for cleanup here and there. I had big double bag dust extractors hooked to my machinery in the shop. No one was going to sell me a dust extractor. Oh, by the way, remember I told you I bought that? I went in and I bought that saw. He goes, "You got to hook it to a dust extractor." I went, "No way." I went, "No way." So when I went back and dropped that other $5K, I bought the dust extractor. I go, duh, what was I thinking? You know, the variable suction was huge. And by the way, we were the only ones at Festool at one time. The 22 and the 33 were the only ones with variable suction. Now everybody's coming out with variable suction on the dust extractors. I don't think they know what it's for, but it looks good. Festool has it.
Let's talk about extractors for a minute. Let's talk about the MIDI. Because that's my favorite of all the extractors. We have a bunch of.
Yeah, why is it your favorite?
I find that it's the best ratio of easy to pick up and move around.
Okay.
A little bit bigger bag than the Mini.
Okay.
Past that, you know, you go upstairs, going up and down stairs in a house, taking sticks with you. You know, the bag could be a quarter full, but it weighs a ton. Yep. So we leave the larger vacs in the shop, let the bags get full, and we go middies on site.
So that's funny, because somebody will ask me, "Hey, how much does that vac weigh?" And I look at them, I go, "Empty?" Because we fill it with dust, they're freaking heavy.
They are.
And depending on what...
In those 26s, and dust.
People don't understand, it's not heavy, I'm just cutting wood. Try sanding and removing paint. Paint, excuse me, is freaking heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think people just equate that. The other question I always get is, how long does the bag last? And I kind of go, and I go, "What are you sanding?" "I'm sanding a house." I look at him, I go, "Birdhouse or house?" You know, because I always will tell people, if you're buying a dust extractor, buy a box of bags while you're there. Because don't try to empty the bag, because now you're breathing the crap you're trying to extract. Fill the bag off.
I loaned my 26 to somebody one time. They filled the bag, and they took a razor blade, they cut, they dumped it out, and they duct taped the bag back.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was the first time I had to replace a HEPA filter in one of my vacs.
Because it leaches out from that duct tape.
Yeah.
At a trade show, and you know, God, I should have taken a picture of this. There was a guy with another brand of dust extractor, and he had a bag. And this is in Baltimore, and he was emptying it. The plume of dust must have been 20 feet high. I should have taken a picture. come on, man. That's just contaminating all of us. You
And
know?
I wanted to talk about this in the very beginning, but the point of all of this is, and point of why I'm doing this show, and one of my passions is elevating the craft, right?
Mm.
Painters, especially, there's a low bar. The average painter gets treated and looked at in a certain way by the average. You say you're a painter, it comes with all these, you know, side connotations, negative connotations to it, and when you want to be a professional, you have to carry yourself like one.
Yeah.
And then if you want to charge, once you can start to charge what it costs to do work and actually make a living, once you hit that threshold of like, I'm charging what it costs to make a living and run a business, well, now labor becomes way more expensive than
Ooh.
bag, right? When I had $0 and all the time in the world, yeah, maybe I'd empty out bags. But once you start to be a professional and try to run a business,
Yeah.
hey, man, sandpaper's cheap, labor's expensive. Let's buy more sandpaper, right? All those things, the equation flips.
Yep. It's I had a mentor in Fort Lauderdale when it came to sandpaper. He goes, man, you're spending way too much time sanding with that grit. Switch it out. I go, no, it's still good, Ralph. And he goes, no. I'm paying you. You're wasting my time or my money. And it kind of hit my head back then. Wow, what's going on? And he taught me everything about finishing. This guy was good.
Yeah.
So that was Ralph.
Expensive. And that's why we love Festool, because the amount of cleanup I would have to do, the amount, like, all of the things that we don't have to do now that we can be producing work.
Mm-hmm.
A tool is a fixed cost. I pay for it now. It's done.
Yep.
Labor. I mean, every contractor I know, we're limited on labor. Labor, that's the hardest. That's where I make all my money, and that's the hardest thing to find. So I'm trying to make my people more efficient every day, and Festool has been a game changer.
So when it came to cleanup, I had a buddy in Fort Lauderdale, Dominic. And he goes, oh, I got 7 crews out there. And he goes, my guys start, they clean up 15 minutes a day. I look at him, I go, really, Dominic, why don't you go watch them out on one of the yards? I go, I'd be willing to bet if you guys quit work day at 6, I bet you the guys start bagging at 4:30 and moseying around. Just go, no, not my guys. He came in about a week or 2 later. He goes, dude, I went and I started watching them, man. They're all like starting to clean up at 4 o'clock. I go, it's because everybody doesn't equate cleanup properly. What if you could save them 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day if they're capturing all the dust?
Yeah.
And man, you are on mega yachts. So boy, did he buy into the system. He goes, he was buying all the sanders, but what he really was into was the saw, the track saw. He goes, because he bought it for the shop. He goes, dude, they had a fist fight the other morning. Who was going to use the saw? So he's 2, 3, 4 saws. It's crazy. But people take care of their tools if it's going to save them time, even if it's the boss's tools. This is what I tell everybody. And they go, yeah, right. And then they come up to me and they go, hey, you were right. It's not that I want to be right. It's just I've kind of done that. You were talking about elevating the trade and everybody. And I smirk when you talk about painters and stuff like that because everybody thinks they can paint, don't they? Everybody thinks, oh, I can paint. I can paint my house. I can do whatever. Everybody thinks they can build a kitchen. Everybody thinks they can build a box. Oh my God, have I heard this forever. And it's in Fort Lauderdale, there's so many cabinet shops that open and close weekly because everybody thinks they could be a cabinet maker. It's the business side of it. It's the professional look. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you market yourself, okay? We really like that professional look of Festool walking on a job site. It was because I didn't want anybody else buying Festool. I was the only one in my industrial area that was using Festool. Guess what they were doing? One time I said, oh, we'll never use that track saw. I look at Mikey, my business partner, I go, where's my ATF 55? He goes, oh, they're borrowing it. And I had to look around a lot of the times. Everybody's borrowing our track saw.
Yeah.
It was crazy because they saw what a great cut it made, right? And how much time it saved them because of setup. So
Do you know what the #1 selling sander in America is for Festool?
Oh, that's tough. I would go with the RL 150. If I'm
Wow.
absolutely,
Yeah.
that's the game changer. Oh, we call it one of our flagship tools, so I would imagine that's it. Yeah, I can't tell you how many. I can't tell you what's #1. Okay, I can tell you what's #1. What do you think's our #1 selling tool in North America?
Tool?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think it's well, no, because the way, just your tone, I can't go with my initial instinct.
What is it?
Um, oh man, I'll say a dust extractor, but it's not gonna.
Ding, ding, ding.
Dust extractor.
Dust extractor. And now, not now, but if you came into our warehouse there, a year ago and I walked you through, you would go, pre-pandemic, you would go, oh my God, look at all the dust extractors. And I'm able to tell you it's our #1 selling tool. But, I mean, everybody guesses.
On that topic, can you show us how to put a hose back into a mini real quick?
Do you want the hose and the cord?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I have one right here. Hey, did I just look up at the clock and see that it was clock?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Oh.
We got. Let's do this. I got 7 questions. We'll do them bang bang. I got 10 questions for you. We'll do them bang bang bang. And
No worries. Okay, so I have a MIDI here, and this is the newer MIDI that we have.
So somebody just said it's impossible. It can't be done.
Do we have Bunny Baby?
Yeah, sounds too.
I
Here.
I have had this question over the years, whether it was a mini or a MIDI, whether it was the older ones or the newer ones. Okay, I understand the struggle. I totally do. Yes, I've done it many times. Okay, now there's a couple of things I want to go over with you. The new MIDI and Mini, and I say new, they're like 2 years old. It was a struggle. We made the top, or what we call the hose garage, a little bit wider, more squarer, so you can get the hose and the cord in there. But what a lot of people don't know, it comes with a cord wrap now. Okay, so I have on here, this is an accessory. I'm going to kind of focus this down. Let's see if I can break my phone on this one. I'm going to focus it down so you can see it. Let's see if you can see it. Yep. Okay, so I have the handle on here. This is an accessory. The cord wrap goes on it. But
now I got to buy an accessory now.
No, you don't have to.
Oh, no, I'm buying that thing. Oh. Oh.
So I'm going to take the cord out like this, okay? And I get the hose in here, and I'm going to take this out. Now, someone will say, boy, that's taking a long time, okay? But if you really think about it and you want to put a timer on it, I'm okay. All right? But what I do, and here's the trick, okay? Here's the trick. And I'm talking here. I'm not trying to hustle out, but watch. I take the hose, and it's how you coil it in, okay? And I'll take part of the hose and bring it out here just a hair, okay? And then I'll start coiling it on the outside and building it out like this, okay? So I'm leaving the center kind of open, all right? The last wrap, it's in there. And then I take the cord like this, and yes, I get it all over the place right now, but I'll take it like that.
We're breaking records here.
Okay, now check this out. You see how there's a notch right here?
Yeah.
I'll lead it in like this, and I'll start to coil it in here like this. Okay, just like this. Now, over time, by doing this, you get a little better. And I haven't done this in a while, because look how knotted this is. I like the cord wrap. But what I'm doing is, I hope you can see this. It's right down in the center here. And you can coil it up, and the hose gets a little bit of a coil to it, which mine doesn't here. But you put it in there like this, it's tucked in, and I can close it just like that.
Boom.
So you can
So
pull it out.
listening, right now, there's a bunch of people who are going to listen to this in podcast form. What he really did was he cut that wire in half. That hose is gone. So, I don't know. That was all BS. No, I'm just kidding. That was tremendous.
And I guess I understand that sometimes you're trying to get out of the job site quick, but if you just learn a little bit of a technique to do it and make sure the cord goes in the middle, that's what I have found.
Because the worst is when you're walking from the job site to the truck and the hose is dragging on the floor, the cord's dragging behind you, and you're just like, oh, I just got to get home for the end of the day. Like, it is so nice to stack it. But I'll tell you, that handle right there on that MIDI, oh, man. I think I'll buy 5 of those tomorrow.
What's also nice about it is you can put your wand in here and a couple accessories. So it makes it really easy.
You know what? I think it's been a while since I went through the brochure. And so I've never seen that handle before. I didn't know about the hose connecting to itself.
Yeah.
I got to brush up on my Festool. I used to be way more in the weeds with all the details.
See, like I said earlier in the beginning, I show people with the Festool domino joiner. They've been really happy with it, but I point out one thing. They go, "That would have saved me a ton of time and setup." That's why I started Festool Sedge.
Yeah.
I kind of did it. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than beg for permission. That's kind of been my motto my whole life. I hope no one's listening. We say that from corporate, but it worked out, and I got a blessing on it after I had started it. But it's all the tips and tricks that I have taught in training class. And this one right here, I've done a couple of times over the 4 years I've been doing it. So,
all right. So we have the questions are flooding in. So I'm going to try to we'll bang them out as fast as possible.
Okay.
This first one, I think we may or may not have a real answer to. How often should a HEPA filter be changed under normal use? Or is there a way to determine if we need to when we should change the HEPA filter?
Okay, so that's a very common question we get. That's a tough one because if you're using a bag, which you should always use a bag, it all depends on frequency of use. So my common thing is if you're doing a lot of RRP work, change it out every 6 months. I know people who actually recommend switch it out every quarter. I know people who have perfect HEPA filters and they haven't switched it out in a couple of years. It's frequency of use, but that's a tough question. It really is.
It is a tough question.
Yeah. So I would say every 6 months, depending on, and that's using it quite often. Now, if you're getting dust leaching through, you can see it coming out the sides, then switch out that HEPA filter because you've punctured it somehow. To clean a HEPA filter, don't blow air through it. Take it out and tap it against in the dumpster or a trash can, whatever. Okay, I usually take them outside and tap it on somebody's car.
And then write your name on the car.
Write my name on it or something that. Cool.
Yes. What head should I buy to attach the MIDI to the Cyclone?
What head should I buy? Well, meaning what head?
What do you mean by head? The Cyclone is that an aftermarket piece, or do you guys sell that Cyclone?
We sell a Cyclone. Yeah, okay. We sell a Cyclone. I use them all the time. Oh, that's cool. Roomy Design Build. How you doing, man? Oh, that's you asking that.
Yeah.
Okay. You could buy the Cyclone. It attaches right to the new Mini and MIDI. The old Mini and MIDI, we don't recommend it.
And what is the advantage of the Cyclone?
Okay, so that's going to, well, if you look back here, I have one, right? Can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
I have one on this one. Okay, I have a Cyclone hooked to there. I plug it in here. This leads into the dust extractor. And I am taking, and I have one at work on a CT48 that I have in there. It's my cleanup vac. It's the vac I go to all the time. I have probably 10% in the bag, and I'm on 15 5-gallon fills on the Cyclone, 15 or 16 now. And it's just amazing. It really is. I could see it right now. I don't go through as many bags. Some people will say, oh, I don't have the same suction. I would just say maybe this 5% reduced. I don't know. I don't know the statistic, but I know it works great for what I do.
Wonderful. All right. Any plans for waterproof sustainers?
Haven't seen any.
Just an idea.
Yep. Nope. Be cool, man. Keep the beer and ice cold.
Yeah. How many gloss sample boards do you need to make to start learning to polish?
Oh, good.
I should start reading these before I put them up. No, I'm just kidding. Jake.
No. That's a good thing. I would say probably make 4 or 5, because the technique is easy. If you know the steps, it's really easy. We color code things to make it even easier. But I really have to do that polishing video.
You do?
Yeah.
Does Festool sell a rubber doohickey that removes buildup from abrasive discs?
No.
Great.
I am from Amazon.
I love this guy.
It's what I think I got one kicking around here. I use it on my oscillating spindle sander. Yeah.
Say 40.
What?
He thought you were going to say that you sell 40 different types.
Yes. 2028. Just kidding.
Why does my Planex paper get clogged up when sanding walls?
It might be the mud's not fully cured. Every time I've heard that, that's usually the reason. It depends. I'm going to tell you what. I had no idea all the different types of muds and textures there are, and how it varies from country to country, and water and hardness of water really makes a big difference. So with the Planex, a lot of times I see, or I used to hear,
paint.
Huh?
Paint.
Paint?
Paint.
Oh, paint, not mud. Oh, because he's sanding out clean coat to clean. Wow, it's clogging a lot, and he's using granite.
I'm assuming granite, right? Is that all they make for the?
Yeah, we had brilliant paper at one time. There's still some of that kicking around at dealers, I think. I don't know why it should be clogging that much. If it's clogging a lot, maybe it's too high a grit. I don't know. That's a toughie. Might want to switch to Granite Net, because we have a net product for Planex called Granite Net.
Yeah.
And that might be less clogging because it's more of a mesh. Cool.
How do we give Festool product feedback?
Okay, that's a good one. I think on our website there is a feedback area.
Good old handwritten letter.
We also have he can call into Festool. It's the number's right on your tool. We have it right on there. We're not the company that hides, as I tell people.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Here we go. Someone said, Sedge, we need a great dust attachment for job site cleanup for corners. Better than the diamond shape.
Okay.
I'm not sure what he means exactly. So not the one with the little dust. We use the circle guy. Hundreds of those things. I think I've burned through so many bristles. You're talking about that weird shaped diamond thing? That's what he said, right? Diamond. A corner vacuum that's not the hard thing would be cool.
Okay.
But now we know where to put that. It's not Tell Sedge. It's
yeah.
Back.
If by the way, if you tell me, I'm gonna go tell product management and take the credit. Okay, I'm just kidding. By the way, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I got to read these before I put them up. That's not good. What's the best sander for raised panel doors?
What's the best sander for raised panel doors? Oh boy.
I think it's the 5-inch ETS for me.
Yeah, but that person might be talking about like the OG pattern in a raised panel door.
Oh.
And that's a toughie. I know some people who have used the linear sander and made a custom pad with the DIY pad for it. But remember earlier on, we were talking about the contour, the interface pad for the DTS.
Yep.
That's why I would use that, but we don't have the interface pad for that OG pattern. So that's a tough question. I'll tell you how I do an OG pattern on that Granite Soft. I do them by hand.
We do all of our details by hand as well.
Yeah.
There's the fact the sanders are awesome, but when you really want to get in the details, nothing beats hand sanding.
I'm seeing some people put RTS on edge. Yes, I've seen people do that. And also put an interface pad on the RTS because we have them for the RTS and LS130. The LS130s are linear, and for me, that gives a little bit of a striation pattern. I'm quicker with my hand on an OG pattern for that.
Yeah, me too. Somebody asked a question about something I don't know. Teach us how to use Festool Stick Fix Oil. What is that?
Oh, that's called Surf Fix oil. And yeah, Surf Fix. We have an oil system. That is, did I do a Festool live on it yet? No. I use it quite a bit for stuff around Festool HQ when I build for it, Festool, and it's wonderful stuff.
Is it?
It's an oil system. It's a whole, with Festool, everything's a system, which is really cool. It's a natural oil system. We have one that's for outdoor. We have one with an oil and wax. That's one step. We have HD, which is heavy duty. That's the one I use for everything. And it comes with an applicator and a step-by-step. It also has different fleece papers for blending the oil in. And it works good, and it's a two-step process or two-application process. It works fantastic. It's a natural oil system that we have.
Like a hard oil, like a two-part oil?
Yep, a hard oil. It's just, it's a tongue. Yep.
All right, I'm going to have to do some homework on that. I'd never heard of that.
Yep.
I'm a coatings guy, too. What the heck?
Yeah.
And
by the way, that's one of those things that gets lost in our whole system.
That's where I think we need to work together and curate a whole bunch of a list someplace of just the stuff for painters, because it all gets hidden.
I know. It's welcome to my world. We make so many great things that people just don't know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Besides the Plane X, which sander would we work best for finishing drywall? I.e. spackling and stuff like that. That's where I think the ETS. Is it ETS EC? That's the name of.
That's the one with the brushless motor.
Okay, the EC means brushless motor.
Yeah, brushless motor. I love those sanders. Okay, so it was a question. Did he have a Plane X, and which one?
Other than a Plane X, what's the best sander to sand?
You're gonna hate this. DTS 400. All the drywallers I know have DTS 400s for getting into corners and point ups.
All right, that's fair.
Yep.
But
Myron Ferguson?
Yeah.
Yeah, the drywall guy, that's his website?
Yeah.
He's like one of the kindest souls I've ever met in my life. He's just such a great guy. And he loves the DTS 400.
See, we use the RTS for the corners and then the ETS 150 for all the body.
You know what Myron calls the Plane X? He calls it the Plantex. He always makes me laugh. We used him at I love this story. We used him at JLC one year, and because none of it, we were so busy doing other things and set up. We needed someone to mud a wall, And he's so good. So he's doing this huge 16-foot wall for us, and it's absolutely perfect. My boss goes up to him and goes, "That's too good. Did you throw the whole 5-gallon thing on there? We won't have a demo." And he went, "Oh." So he textured the whole wall for us. And he goes, "Look, Sedge, I'm making flowers for you." He is the coolest dude in the world. I tell everybody, listen to everything that dude has to say if you're doing drywall, because he knows what the hell is going on. Yeah.
So I got a question for you from B1 Inc. Why don't we have the power station in the U.S.? What is the power station?
Okay, so watch Sedge, deer in the headlight. It is oh my God, is it unbelievable? The run times on it are astronomical. It's in Europe. They got a 220 version. It's basically a sustainer that will run the entire job site.
No way. And how come we don't have one here?
I don't know. It's it's incredible. You can walk on a job site and work all day. It's a battery in a sustainer, and some really cool revolutionary technology. So it's coming out in Europe. You can see it all over the place. Years ago, it was like, oh my God, we'd release something in Europe and no one would hear about it over here. Now everybody hears about it, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So it's tough. There's stuff that's released over there that may never happen here for some other reasons. I don't know. Do I play dumb pretty good?
Yeah. You're the company man. Let me tell you.
What did the guys on the Modern Craftsman? This is the first podcast I ever did. They said, "Sedge, you are so hard to pry information on." I go, "Dude, I want to keep my job."
No, I wouldn't want to rock the boat either. Somebody just said they got talked into a new Planex. KS Builders, good for you, man. I want to see what you do with it.
Yep. Will it charge my Tesla? That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh God.
I got a question. What's the best Festool to use for sanding steps?
Okay, RO90. Yeah, and well, that's a toughie too, because it's dependent on the size. For me, it's a 2-step process. When I sand out staircases, I've done my treads, majority of my treads with the RO150, and then I do all my other things, all my rises with the RO90. Some people use an RO125 for everything and then supplement it with the RO90. So
that's I forgot exists. The RO125.
Yep. That's a big seller in New England because of clapboard siding.
So for a long time, when I first started, I was so broke. And every time I would get a new sander, I would have to get a whole new line of all the different grits in a new sander.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I have the triangle ones. I have the 90 circles. Then I had the 150 circles. Then I had the squares. Then I had the DTSs. So I was petrified to ever buy a 125 because it was like, and I was scarred up until a year ago when one of my guys was like, "We do a lot of doors at the shop. I think a 5-inch sander is better to do doors than a 6-inch sander. I need a 5-inch sander." And I was like, "Okay, I'll wrap my head around it." Yeah. I get over the fact that we're gonna have more sandpaper in all the grits. I used to look at those boxes back in the day and like, look at all this money just sitting here.
Yeah, I know.
Look at all that money that's gonna make me more money.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I wasn't there mentally.
Yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while, but you realize, for me and my business partner, time was everything for us. Everything. And if we could save money, like on our boring our hinges on our doors, how much is that machine? But we're going to buy 500 sets or pairs of hinges and hinge plates. It's worth it. And, you know, we would have guys in the area laugh at us. But then all of a sudden they went, huh? That you kind of got that hinge boring machine free. And we go, yeah, because you're going to buy the hinges anyhow. So you got to really, and saving time was everything. Because we were a two-man band. And employees in Fort Lauderdale were tough back then. So we were just very cautious about that. And how do you double yourself? That's the other thing you got to think of. You know, are they going to really pay attention to detail in your shop? So we were always back and forth with that.
Yeah, this is a good question. I think I know the answer, but I'm not certain. Can you make a taller tripod for the Sys light for 10-foot ceilings? How tall does that? You talking for the inspection light or the Sys light? Duo. No, the inspection light, I think is what he's saying. Can't that bar turn it vertical and goes up? It still doesn't go up 10 feet?
No, I don't think it goes up to 10 feet. I never really measured it, but it doesn't go all the way up. It doesn't go 10 feet. I know that. Interesting. Huh. I thought it went high enough, but I guess it does. Oh, he's probably doing the Sys light for 10 feet. Oh, for ceilings, because he wants to rake the ceiling.
A lot of gloss ceilings.
Yeah. Now I understand. Huh, interesting. I got 10.5s here in the garage, in the shop. So, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, the tripod doesn't go all the way up. No, we don't make I'll throw that, or you can put it in the feedback area. I think there is something on the website now, festoolusa.com. I think so.
All right. Well, Sedge, this has been amazing. And
Huh?
Oh, we got to let you get back to your wife. I got 2 questions that I ask everybody at the end of every show.
Okay.
First one is, I need a DIY sanding. We say painting tip. DIY sanding or painting tip. I know you got 100, so just give me one DIY tip for people out there.
DIY tip on sanding.
Let's do sanding. We've been talking a lot about sanding.
Okay. Okay. Here's one for you. So one of the things I was taught in Germany, and probably the best trainers I've ever met were the automotive trainers over there. And I would see them, but when they were switching paper, that they would turn on the vacs and vacuum or clean their pads. Because you may have stray grit that's between here, or a splinter or something. But for them, when they were in the higher grits, like 800, 1200, that's a film back, you would have that come through. So vacuum your pads. If you see anything on there, vacuum them.
Oh, that is such a deep, like, rabbit hole DIY tip. That is tremendous. I'm going to talk to the guys. We're going to start vacuuming our pads. I love that. That's a golden nugget that we just got right there.
Oh, maybe I do know something, eh?
All right, now it's time to tell me your favorite Festool tool.
TS55. The track saw.
The track saw, the bigger one?
Nope, the regular one. It's for me. It started with the ATF55, then a TS55R. No, TS55 EQ, and then now it's REQ. I just love the track saw. I get chills when I use it. It's made me the most money. It was my first tool from Festool. It's still my favorite. I'm supposed to say all of them, but no way. Track saw rocks. And by the way, we continue to improve it.
I love that. So again, I've been out of the nerd tool world for a little bit, trying to run a business. I saw the carpenter the other day had his track saw out, and yesterday we're doing an old door restoration. So I had him come to fit the new hardware and make sure that the reveals were right. And he was taking the track saw and he was cutting down the edge just a little bit to some gap. And at the end, he was vacuuming up a little bit of dust on the ground, and he had the Bluetooth switch.
Oh yeah, baby.
And I was like, wait, what is that?
Yeah.
And so on these new guys, I've never used any of the Bluetooth stuff, but you have a switch that you can turn the vac on and off with.
Yeah.
Well, now I got to buy those too.
So the new Mini and Minis, I'll tell you this, the new Mini and Minis already come with Bluetooth capability. You just have to buy the remote. And if you have a Festool cordless or get a new Festool cordless, all the Festool cordless come with Bluetooth batteries. Okay? Now, if you have a 26, a 36, a 36 AC, 48 AC, 48, okay, even from the beginning, you could take off the plate, you buy the module. I think it's less than $100. It comes with the remote, and any Bluetooth Festool battery will work with it. And it is absolutely amazing. Now, as I pan over here, okay, you'll see that I have, okay, I'm trying to get it. Mine is a CT55. Okay, it is a very old, large dust extractor. It was a sample that I was allowed to have here in the States. Okay, it's the same head that was on the 22 and 33. Guess what? I can't put Bluetooth on it. And I use nothing but Bluetooth at HQ in the training center. And I'll tell you right now, I need to get one. I'm going to buy a CT26, I think, this summer because I love Bluetooth. For cleanup, it's wonderful.
Well, hey, yeah, we do a lot of hand sanding holding the vacuum right there as we hand sand. And the idea that I'm going to be buying them for all the vacs, there's not a question. I saw it. I was like, oh, man.
It's amazing. Everybody asked why Bluetooth in the beginning. And once you start using it, you're like, I'm a fish out of water in my home shop right now. And I'm the laziest son of a gun on the planet. And if I'm cleaning up over here and I want to stop, I got to go back to the dust extractor, turn it off. It's amazing. And when you compare, and all our tools, cordless, now have Bluetooth batteries. So it's kind of a no-brainer.
All right. So now this is going to be a weird, you can answer this however you want. I understand that you are the good company man and we don't want to get you in trouble. You got the best job going. The biggest horror story or embarrassing moment cost you a ton of money or almost lost a relationship with the dealer because of something bad happened. Dig deep. What is the thing that keeps you up at night that won't get you fired? Don't tell me that. But you've just come on here. You've demonstrated your expertise, your passion. We got to pull you back down to reality, make you feel like you're a real human and that you might make mistakes like the rest of us. What do you got for me?
Wow. Like maybe something I've said to somebody or?
So we've had contractors who spilled like very well-known, very reputable guys today who early in their careers, story about dropping some paint on a carpet, not being able to get it up and putting a chair over the top of that carpet.
Okay.
Horrible about it for a decade. This is a safe space because I painted the wrong house.
Oh my God, really?
Oh yeah. We've had quite a list of horror stories where
this is not a horror story, but it's coming back to me. All our Festool, this has happened recently in the last year, and we kind of joke about it at work a little bit, but I make a lot of mistakes, and I admit to them, and I'm human. And what's kind of funny is I showed an accessory last year with the routers, particularly our OF1010 router. Even 2 days ago, I get an email. Hey, can I get this part? Here's the thing. I had one in the training center. It got discontinued 3 years ago. And I was demoing it. And I was the one who caught the mistake, but I admitted it. And somebody said, should we take down the Festool live or edit it? I went, hell no. Well, guess what? People are still asking me, hey, I tried to buy that accessory. I still can't get it. So I've had to, suck some wind on that one. But I'm that type of person. I just admit when I make mistakes. But one of my fears that keeps me up at night is if I've taught somebody and I've offended somebody. I wear my brother, oldest brother, will tell you I wear my emotions on the cuff, and I got to be careful sometimes because it's all this politically correct stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is hurt somebody's feelings. My parents taught me that. And the last thing I want to do is maybe represented Festool in the wrong light.
Yeah.
I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, and I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. But sometimes I might joke around too much and I might offend somebody. So at the end of every training class, I always say, hey, if I offended you, I am so sorry. I didn't mean it. That's what I say. So that's.
I hope you didn't offend me here tonight. That was tremendous. I am so grateful for your time.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I think in the email originally it says, we're going to go about a half hour, 45 minutes. And then when I looked up at the clock, I went, oh boy. Oh my God. This has been such a hoot. We got to do it again, don't we?
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. Maybe we could do something from my shop when this pandemic's open.
Hey, I'm coming out to Indiana. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man.
Awesome.
Drink beer?
I don't drink, not anymore. 6 years in 2 days. I've been clean.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. This is a school night, so I don't have any beer. Yeah.
I never understood how to have one or two. So
all good, bro. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, anytime. And it was great seeing all the people that were on. I follow a lot of you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of thing for Festool.
Yes.
Subscribe to our Festool USA North America YouTube channel. Facebook, Instagram is Festool_USA. Also, you can subscribe to my personal tip. Instagram, it's at Festool Sedge. So there we go. Good?
Boom.
Bam! I don't know how to end this. What do I hit?
Just exit. There's a little X. I used to be able to kick you out. I don't know how to do that anymore. They change it all the time. Oh, here we go. I'll just remove you. Have a great night, man.
You too, bro. Later.
Bye. Removing Festool USA. That was awesome. That was an honor. Obviously you can tell I'm a giant Festool nerd. Changed the game for me. Continues to change the game for us and our team. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you guys on Sunday night in the Q&A.